Hey, what's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken, and welcome back to another video. We are live on Twitch once again, recording the PTS notes for the new Desert Omens update. This update is the first update in a while where we've gotten a new champion, and oh boy, we will investigate that shortly. He's something. And we also have some balance changes. We have a new event pass with a bunch of skins. The skins actually aren't listed on the notes right now, but we will have footage of that from the update show on the screen when it comes time to talk about the skins. But up first, let's talk about Omen. So Omen is the new champion, and he is sort of like a mirror of Genos almost. He's kind of, I forgot the name of the specific type of character he's called, like a mirror champion, clone champion, something like that. I don't know. Point is, you're going to see a lot of similarities to Genos, and it's intentional, and people have mixed opinions about if that's actually a good thing or not. But the lore is basically this. Let's get the narration voice up for you. Omen was in search of greater power, the help his family deserved, when he climbed a flaming mountain looking for wisdom like that of Genos. Instead of finding answers like that of Ascension Peak, he was met with a void of silence from the night sky. Lost in rage, he threw himself into the lava boiling below him. Before he perished, Nyx answered the prayers cosmic gods ignored. She granted him the power to do what he felt the gods should. Now, as the realm descends into chaos once more, Omen ascends from the abyss to serve his queen, joining the battle to see the fall of Genos in his home. Soon, they will all feel the wrath of a god. Whoa. So yeah, basically, another character who's sort of been betrayed by a god, he feels. He went up to a volcano and was like, hey, can I get some of that cosmic wisdom that Genos got? And no one picked up the phone, so he tried to kill himself, and Nyx was like, no. The gods betrayed you, but I shall not. Congratulations. Now you look like a skelly boy. And so, he is a Genos wannabe. He has very similar abilities to Genos, but he does have, admittedly, some interesting sort of combo potential in his kits, and a few gimmicks which at least seem somewhat interesting. In the update show, he struck me as a character who seems like he'll be decently fun to play, but probably not that fun to play against, and you'll see why in a little bit. So he's a damage character. Sadly, I was hoping we would get maybe an edgy-ish support, because we haven't had a support since Lilith. We've had a damage champion in the form of Kasumi, and a flank since Caspian, and both of those, I mean, flanks and damages are kind of the same role, in many ways. So, yeah, another damage character, 2200 health, so a bit on the tanky side. And his weapon visually looks like Genos' weapon. He very much looks like a Genos skin. But his weapon, I'm actually partially excited for, because it's a shotgun. And we haven't had a shotgun character in a very long time. Has it really been since, like, Buck and Barrack? Or am I forgetting one? I might be forgetting one. Point is, it's a shotgun. Like a true shotgun. So it actually has two firing modes. Has a range of 300 units, effective up to 100 units. You know, obviously going to be sort of short to mid-ranged. And if you just tap the weapon, semi-auto it, you know, like Octavia, tap, 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 it's just going to be a shotgun. Deals 500 damage every 0.3 seconds in a wide spread. So that is over 1500 damage per second. Base kit. Yes, Furia, thank you. I knew I was forgetting somebody. Thank you, chat. Furia, yeah. So, yeah, already that's pretty terrifying. If he gets close to you, you are going to take billions of DPS. This is Lex Discovery levels of DPS right here. And then if you hold, basically hold down the fire button, you know, you'll wind down into this Antumbra mode, which is sort of a mid-ranged rifle instead of a shotgun. So it does 500 damage just like the shotgun, but it has a much narrower spread and a slower fire rate. This is closer to 1000 DPS, which is much more reasonable, and is meant to be his mid to long-ranged option. Really not long-range, you're not going to be sniping with this guy, but, you know, mid-range, basically kind of like Octavia. And yeah, it scales down over the first 3 shots, so gradually over those 3 shots, it'll go from large spread, and it truly is widespread, to much more precise. And at that point, basically binary star. Basically just binary star. So, and then we have the passive as well. And this is Ominous Brand. Branded enemies receive additional effects from Deadly Domain and Gravity Vice for 3 seconds. And basically, if you shoot somebody, I'm pretty sure it applies it. It seems like that's how it worked. And so yeah, let's check out those abilities. His alt fire is Deadly Domain, basically a damage gourd. You place a pool of poison on the ground that lasts for 5 seconds, and it increases in size over its duration. It poisons enemies for 60 damage every 0.2 seconds, so 300 damage per second, as long as they're within it. Quite literally a damage gourd. It even applies on the ground, on the floor, exactly the same as a gourd. It's not like a totem, it's not like a swarm, it's literally a gourd that just gets larger. So yeah, not super crazy, and if they are branded, they will be slowed by 30%. So shoot somebody, then put this on them, they are slowed. Pretty straightforward. Next up, we have Gravity Vice. Channel and alter gravity, lifting an enemy into the air for 1 second before violently pushing them away from your current position for 400 damage. After pushing an enemy, Aphotic Reaver, that's his weapon. I lost my place. Aphotic Reaver is set to Antumbra mode for 2 seconds. Antumbra, mind you, is the binary star mode. These are some very complicated names. And then the Ominous Brand effect. So if they are branded, and you pick them up with Gravity Vice, enemies are marked and ignited when pushed, taking 15% bonus damage from Aphotic Reaver. So, kind of like a personal hunter's mark for 3 seconds. And yeah, the DOT is really small. 10 damage every 0.3 seconds for 3 seconds. That is really small DOT. The main benefit is, yeah, you deal 15% bonus damage. With your shotgun, that does, well, it'll do basically 1,000 damage per second because you're forced into Antumbra mode. But the point is, that's a lot of damage. That is a lot of damage. And then we have Dark Stride. This is his movement ability. It's honestly pretty boring. Instantly dash 45 units in the direction you're moving, leaving behind abyssal spikes that deal 30 damage every 0.1 seconds that last for 5 seconds. Colliding with an enemy knocks them back slightly and deals 200 damage. And if you knock them back, it applies Ominous Brand. And it can be cast while you're gripping somebody. And yeah, it should be pointed out that the Gravity Vice is basically identical to Void Grip, except for the effects that happen after you lift them. So the initial gripping them up, that's Void Grip. But then a second later, you knock them away. And basically the way it works is, you don't knock them in the direction you're looking, you knock them in the opposite direction of where your character is. So if I'm standing here, and I grip someone in front of me, I will push them that way. If I grip somebody, and then I move to the right, I will push them that way, if that makes sense. So yeah. And then yeah, you can dash while you have somebody gripped. So that is something to note. And what you can basically do, in terms of the combo potential, is you can grip somebody, and if you want to throw them a certain way really fast, you can dash, and then they'll be thrown the opposite way. So say you have somebody near a cliff, right? I am at the edge of a cliff, and someone is coming after me, right? So I grip them. I bumped my mic, I'm sorry. And then I dash past them. Now they're going to get thrown that way, and you can throw them off the map. So that's the combo potential with this sort of ability setup here. So that at least seems very interesting, but you can see how that wouldn't be very fun to play with, especially if you have a Genos on your team as well. Imagine you're the enemy, right? You get Void Gripped by Genos, and then you get Void Gripped by Omen, and then thrown off the map. Doesn't sound like a good time to me. So that is something to note. And then yeah, let's check out his ultimate. This thing is... oh my goodness. It is certainly one of the ultimates in Paladins, Champions of the Realm. The voice line. Let me just play the voice line for you.
So, we'll let this speak for itself.
Oh God, no!
Bye.
Be careful, y'all. Be careful.
No. So yeah. It's basically vertical Genos ult. You channel it for 1.8 seconds, becoming CC immune, gaining 30% damage reduction, and reducing your movement speed by 50%, before placing a 30-unit blinding abyssal tear at target location. After 3 seconds, the blind dissipates, so it takes basically 5 seconds for the ultimate to finally start doing damage, between the channeling time and then the blind time. But yeah, basically, you put this thing on the floor, again, picture vertical Genosult, right? So it's about that size, right? Just this area on the ground. About the size of the objective, I would say. If you're standing inside that, you are blind. Like a Mave blind, but even more serious. So yeah, that's pretty intimidating. And then once the blind dissipates, the area is decimated by a beam that deals 666 damage every 0.15 seconds for 6 seconds. That is a lot of damage. You want to know how much damage that deals? 666 over 0.15 seconds is 4,440 damage per second. Per second. For 6 seconds. What? That is crazy. So yeah. and you know, the cherry on top, it applies Ominous Brand as well, so you know. I don't think the Ominous Brand application really matters if they're dead instantly. But yeah, you can see, very long channel time to initially place the Abyssal Tear. And then once the Abyssal Tear is placed, you have another 3 seconds. So the enemy has a long time to get out of this. But you also have to consider crowd control. Once the Abyssal Tear is placed, you can use your Gravity Vice and your Deadly Domain to try and stop them from leaving. But more importantly, I think this is really where you're going to see sort of combo effects work. You can combo this with other characters who have better crowd control. So you can picture, once the Abyssal Tear is already on the ground, Cyrus throws her ult right into the Abyssal Tear, sucks in 2 people. They instantly evaporate. So that's where you're going to see this ult work. Otherwise, because the cast time is so long, it probably actually won't be that good, in actuality. Unless the enemies are bad. Because, yeah, there is so much time to react. There's more time to react than a Genos ult. And it actually covers less the ground than a Genos ult as well, because, you know, it's vertical, so it's just in this one circle area. But yeah, you can put that on the objective and basically zone it out for a very long time. I mean, geez, 5 seconds here, then 6 seconds here. You can zone the point out for a while with his ultimate, so a very, very wild ultimate. And it gets even more wild when we take a look at his cards. But first, we have to discuss the talents. So his default talent makes me depressed. Ominous Brand's duration is increased to 5 seconds. And it reveals enemies. Guess what? The character with 1500 DPS. And, by the way, a 15% bonus damage buff also has a reveal. Tyra, anybody? But also, he has a reveal on his primary fire that now lasts for 5 seconds. Are you kidding me? What? That sounds awful. So yeah, not looking forward to playing with this talent. Then we get to Umbral Lance, otherwise known as Binary Star. Aphotic Reaver, which is his primary fire, is permanently set to Antumbra mode, which is the basically slow-firing rifle version that's not the shotgun. So, there you go. Binary Star. And then we get to level 8. Binary Void. Deadly Domain, which is his slow, now has 2 charges, but his cooldown is increased by 3 seconds. So a very basic 2-charge talent. No complaints there. This makes sense, but it will be probably pretty annoying to play against, because it does end up getting pretty big, and you can consistently just throw those on the objective and get a bunch of free damage. So you can see what I mean now. By this character, seems like he's going to be pretty fun to play. You've got good combo potential with Gravity Vice, Dark Stride, Heavens Asunder. The ultimate certainly has amazing visual effects as well. 10 out of 10 visual effects on this for sure. But yeah, if you're an enemy facing this guy, well, he's got a very high DPS shotgun, or he can poke you from range for good damage as well. He's got an AoE DOT on the ground that he can just throw down. He's got crowd control. He's got an annoying dash that also places even more AoE DOT on the ground. And then, if you get crowd controlled into his ultimate, there's no counterplay, you instantly die, unless you are super quick on the magic barrier, or some other defensive ability like that. So, yeah. I'm not looking forward to playing against this guy, but at the very least, I mean, he's better than Kasumi. The bar is really, 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 really low with that statement, obviously. He'll probably need some balance changes to make him less scary, But again, we have to play him on the PTS. I always say this, you gotta download the PTS, you gotta play the PTS, you gotta make sure to give them feedback. And if you don't know how to get the PTS, let me remind you, you just go to Steam, go to Paladins, go to store page. It's only on Steam, sadly, but it is on Steam. So you go here, go to store, pause the auto-playing video, and then right here, notice, want to participate in Paladins public test, click here, you install it, and there you go. PTS is in your Steam library. So very simple. And yeah, make sure you are playing the PTS. Oh boy. So let's check out his cards now. Never mind, let's not check out his cards now. Let me remember the 2 standout cards that I remember from the update show, because he has 2 cards that are very scary. And for the video, I'll just put the cards on the screen. He has a card that increases his ultimate charge rate by what looks to be 6% per tier. Looks to be 6% per tier. So, you know this ability that does over 4,000 damage per second? What if he had that 30% more? And then bought Morale Boost? And then had a Ray? Ooh. Yeah. And then, he has another card, which this is... It's going to be a card to test. One of the most important cards to test. He has a card that greatly reduces his ammo count. At level 5, it takes him from 12 ammo, doesn't say here, but 12 ammo, down to 10. So he has 2 shots. But it increases his primary fire damage at level 5 by 40%. 40%. So, the burst on that is going to be insane. And yeah, you could buy Deft Hands with that, and then the ammo penalty wouldn't be a super huge problem. But of course, that is also a Deft Hands requirement, so we're going to have to test that card for sure. It seems like they're trying to create sort of a double-barrel shotgun playstyle with that, which makes sense. But also, you got to be very careful of the numbers there, because you don't want that to be imbalanced. So, we're going to have to make sure to test that. The other cards... pretty simple cards, you know, cooldown cards, and increase the duration of dash cards, and health, stuff like that. So the rest of the cards seemed pretty boring to me, but those 2 cards in particular, absolute standouts. Let's make sure we test those. Anyways, before we get to the balance, I want to briefly, and this is going to be awkward for Twitch, but in the video it'll make sense. I want to briefly talk about the skins. So we are getting an event pass, and I think we can actually probably go to Twitter and see this. Or, excuse me, X. Excuse me, X. Right, X, my favorite platform. We can go to Twitter and at least see 2 of the skins here, sort of, in spray form. We're getting a Lilith skin, confirmed to be a Lilith skin, and I'll of course have video of that on screen. And we are also getting a Makoa skin, which, very happy to see that, because it's been 4 years since Makoa's last skin. And both of these are Egyptian-themed, just like the previous Lost Sands Battle Pass. So, they both honestly look pretty clean, pretty good. They have lovely visual effects. Lilith has a swarm of scarabs, which is very fitting, and Makoa has incredible levels of drip. He has the goldest chain I have ever seen. More gold than his gold skin, and the cannon looks really good as well. We're also getting a cat mount, which was showcased in the event pass, the update show.
Pajamas.
And there are also some other sprays and stuff, which most of which you can actually see on the hieroglyph right here. There's also going to be a recolor of Kinessa's Dune Strider skin. So you see this picture inside of the loading frame? Yeah, that's not just the spray, that's the skin. Pretty unexciting. And then we're getting one last skin. It is a Tyra Beach Bash sort of style skin, which she has a nice outfit. The gun looks cool. I really do not like her shades, but yeah, there's that as well. So 4 skins in this update, more like 3 if you don't want to count Kinessa's recolor, which I'm really not excited for that, so I'm just going to say we get 3 skins this patch. And yeah, those are basically the cosmetics. And we don't know if we're getting any other sort of general changes, like a map getting its details back, or any sort of UI changes, aim assist changes, rank changes, anything like that. But now, we get to check out the balance. Oh boy, I actually haven't seen any of this, so you're going to get my live reactions to all of this fresh balance. And first up, I can see my boy, Androxus. So Darkstalker down here is getting a nerf. Increased cooldown from 5 seconds to 6.5 seconds for each nether step. So he is now officially going to have much less mobility than Vatu now. He was actually sort of able to keep pace with Vatu's dashes, which was absolutely crazy. And while I don't necessarily like this, I also definitely understand why they're doing it, because there have been a lot of complaints about Androxus. So, yeah, hopefully now this means they can buff his damage slightly, and I do mean very slightly. What I want to see personally for Androxus is I want his punch to go up to 550, so that way he can do 1, 2, 3 shots punch and actually kill somebody. He can't do that right now. Go to the shooting range, test it. He can't do it on the average character. Same goes for headshot, headshot, punch. That doesn't work either. You don't kill with that. You leave them on a sliver of HP. And you could also maybe slightly make the argument that he could go to 580 damage on his revolver. I don't know about the full 600, but I feel like his damage has been a little bit lacking since they got rid of Cursed Revolver. Obviously, it should not go back up to Cursed Revolver damage. That would be stupid. But, yeah, especially now that we're nerfing Darkstalker, I think those would be sensible changes to add. But that's just my take. Let me know what you think in the comments or the chat right now if you're on Twitch. Next up, we have Ashe getting some balance changes. Never mind, just single balance change. Shoulder Bash is getting a 1 second cooldown reduction, so a very small buff to Ashe. Okay, I'll take that. Ashe is not super hot right now, so that's fine. Betty La Bamba. Oh boy. Alright, we got 2 nerfs here. Hail Bombs. Oh, this is going to be so good for so many people. No longer applies knockback. Hey, there we go. That's something a lot of people have wanted to see. It's just annoying. Even if it's not the most impactful, it's just annoying. So, glad to see that. And then Fiery Disposition is getting a nerf, almost cut in half, from 0.3% damage per tick down to 0.175% damage per tick. So significantly lower damage in Fiery Disposition, but at the end of the day, she's still applying that fire DOT on every single ability she has. So, yeah, she'll still probably be annoying, but certainly not as annoying. Next up we get to Caspian, probably getting, okay, yeah, 1 single buff. Deadly Momentum, which is his movement ability, I'm pretty sure, has a decreased cooldown from 14 seconds to 12 seconds. Very similar to the Ashe change, and considering Caspian has really bad movement ability, I guess that's fair. I don't think this means anything for, what do you call it, Everywhere at Once? Because Everywhere at Once is still a set cooldown, so this doesn't really buff that talent. Which is funny, because it's the movement talent, so, you know, kind of weird. Would have expected more for Caspian, but at least he's getting something. Next up, we get to Corvus, who has quite a bit here. Abyssal Reconstruction. Increased healing over time from 350 over 0.5 seconds to 450 over 0.5 seconds. So the healing over time portion, not the burst portion, is getting buffed by 100. So that's nice. Small healing buff. And then Mark of Fate. Increased bonus healing by 5%. Bonus for marked allies when others healed is now 60% of healing. And then directly healing marked ally now heals them for 10% bonus. So, yeah, definitely some very big healing buffs here for Corvus. Yeah, I'm excited to see how Corvus feels next patch. We will definitely play him and see how that healing feels. Because I feel like Corvus has felt a little bit underwhelming for quite a while now. And I think it's good to see these changes. So there we go. Nice. Next up, Dredge. Cursed Howitzer no longer deals self-damage. Okay. We'll have to ask XSTB and see how he feels about that. I'm sure that's a big change. Yeah, XSTB is in the chat. He's saying this is big. I guess if you want to fly at somebody with Crow's Nest, get right up in their face and blast them, you won't take self-damage now? So I guess that's pretty good. Oh, okay. Inara, Earthen Guard. This is a small nerf. Increased cooldown from 10 seconds to 11 seconds. So they're not increasing the efficacy of Mother's Grace, but they're making it so that you have a longer period when Mother's Grace is down where you actually have a chance to kill Inara, because she's basically immortal in Mother's Grace. Good change. Io, getting some buffs. Lunar Leap, decreased cooldown from 12 seconds to 10 seconds. I see they're making a lot of movement abilities faster now. I like that change. Moonlight also has increased base passive regeneration by 30%. That's actually pretty huge. So by default now, you will generate Moonlight a lot faster. That's actually pretty good. Still probably not going to be meta, but I will take these Io buffs. Absolutely. She's another champion very similar to Corvus who's kind of underwhelming right now. Lex. Oh, let's go. Let's go. Discovery nerf. Reduced bonus damage from 25% to 15%. Let's go. Ah, that is beautiful. Not quite the full rework I want, where he gets his auto-aim removed and, you know, becomes a fair champion, but this is a great start. I will take that dub. That is a fat dub. Awesome. Alright, Moldamba. He's getting a health buff from 2200 to 2300, and that's it. Alright. Okay, next. Nyx. Rift Slash fixed an issue where charged Rift Slashes were still applying 2 seconds of cripple with Show of Force. Oh. Huh. I didn't know that. Okay, good to know. And then Royal Presence, which is her DOT aura, her defensive ability, that's getting a massively increased cooldown from 11 seconds to 13 seconds. Wow. So Nyx nerf as well as Inara nerf. That's pretty huge. Now we get to Terminus. Very small Terminus buff. Increased movement speed from 345 to 350. That's a very small buff, but generally, movement speed buff for Terminus makes sense, because he's a melee character and he should move faster. The way they talked in the update show, I would have expected a bit of a larger buff than this. I mean, how small is that, percentage-wise? 5 over 345. His movement speed got buffed by 1%. Nice. Wow. But you know what? When you stack it up with Nimble, and when you stack it up with It Follows, I think it's called. Yeah, it'll be generally faster. You know what? It's a buff in the right direction, though. No, there shouldn't be diminishing returns on it, no, because this is a raw value increase. It's not like they're applying a direct percent buff to this that will then have diminishing returns with Nimble, so no diminishing returns. Maybe it'll feel better in game, I don't know. I mean, these numbers tend to be pretty vague anyways, so we'll see, we'll see. Next up we get to Vora. This is basically one of the only balance changes they actually discussed in the update show, and it had us very concerned. So, Vora did need some changes. I wanted Double Tendril to be put in base kit. I think that would have been a very sensible and fun buff. I think that would have been amazing. But guess what? No, that's not happening at all. Instead, Obliterate is getting a cooldown buff. Okay, 1 second cooldown buff, that's fair. Damage buff, okay, 500, 600, alright, yeah, whatever. Deafening Silence. Increased silence duration from 1.65 seconds to 2.5 seconds.
All right!
What? That is a tremendously long silence. That is longer than both Shalane Desert Silence and Torvald's Nullify. That is insane. So, Vora has quite the tremendous combo potential now. You can silence somebody, and if your team is there to follow up, then you'll be popping off. And also this means that in a straight 1v1 scenario, Vora can recover from her Obliterate and still have some time left in the silence to actually swing at them. But man, this is not what I expected nor wanted for Vora, and we're gonna have to test this buff on the PTS and make sure it's not busted. Anyways, final change here. Yagharoth, form swap, reduced cooldown from 4 seconds to 2 seconds. So each form is about 1 second. So you can swap forms faster now. The cooldown seems basically negligible at this point when you consider the fact that she also has a transition animation. So that's pretty good. Hey, yeah, there we go. But yeah, anyways, that is basically the Desert Omens PTS update notes in a nutshell. And yeah, this update, well, after the last update, basically any update they would publish would definitely be, worse. The anniversary update was an absolute banger. And unfortunately, this one seems to be, I think, the first mid-update of the year. Because Season 6 started off great. We had some good stuff with Emergence, Midnight Masquerade, Payload coming back, stuff like that. This is just a new champion who has sort of a controversial kit, both in terms of his abilities seem pretty scary, and also he has very, very similar abilities to Genos in terms of like Gravity Vice, Binary Star, stuff like that. And then, yeah, we have some balance, which overall seems pretty decent. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this balance, sure, most of it's good. And the skins are pretty nice. But there's nothing really stand out about this update, And yeah, we still don't know if there are any general changes of, like, I don't know, Primal Court getting details back or something like that. I would assume not, since they didn't even mention it in the update show, and that seems like an important thing that they would want to discuss. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's pretty standard update, so let me know what you think about it in the comments section down below. And yeah, with that being said, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, make sure to follow us all over here on Twitch, where we are recording this video live, because we will have PTS gameplay for you on Twitch. You won't want to miss out on that. But if you do miss out on it, make sure to follow the VODs channel as well, because we upload the VODs over there as well. And yeah, with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time. Peace out.